we are.
Exactly, I'm seeing
And we
that
can't
too.
start a sitting without having mics because we are here to be the voice of the voiceless. So when the voice of the voiceless is voiceless, who's going to speak for people? There are no mics here.
Thank you, Honorable Member, for pointing that one out. One may not know what is the challenge. We will check that with the communications team. Order. Honorable members, for now, since there are no mics that are connected, which unfortunately had not been brought to our attention, we will try and utilize the roving mic where necessary. I have just had a consultation with all the whips of parties following a consultation with the leader of the government business. In terms of Rule 48, subsection 2, we have decided to adjourn proceedings for a date to be determined by the programming committee. This is in accordance with Rule 10. Honorable members, before we started the session, we were informed by the leader of government business, as it is the process in terms of the communications between ourselves and the executive, that while today we've been gathered here to actually have the Minister of Finance presenting the budget to this august house, that there has not been agreement in terms of parties in the executive to actually find one another in proposals of the budget. And the executive therefore decided, as some of you already know, and as your whips have said in our discussion, some things that have already been on the media about where there are possible increases and where different parties as well as members of the community's perspective on those proposed increases were saying. And Cabinet therefore decided not to come and do a presentation of the budget and allow themselves enough time to re-look at the budget and come back to this house in March at the time at which they will inform us. So, no, honorable members, I will point you, I have noted your hands. Well, in our consultations, which I must report to you, the different whips shared with us their perspectives on the matter. There were those who agreed and asked that we ask the executive to give us a definite time in March so that we are able to deal with the pressures of time for the legislature. Secondly, there were those who were saying they are not accepting the postponement. But obviously, we did indicate that while we note their refusal on the postponement of the sitting, it would not be of any use to postpone when there is no presentation that will be made. There were others who already declared their rejection on what they say it's an alleged increase of 2% on the taxes. So they said they wanted to state it up front that they are not agreeing. So I'm just giving you a perspective of the consultations that we've had. But there was agreement that if there is no budget that is presented, there is no discussion that will be held, as there is no other item on the agenda. Honorable members, we have two hands of members who would like to reflect, and I will give each party to make their reflections. It's something that is unprecedented, but I do think it is correct that when such situations happen, we need to collectively think on the best way forward. And I guess it was correct that we are informed, even though late, that this is the situation. I will now recognize Honorable Malima, followed by Honorable Manye. I don't see the hand at the back. You are recognized, Honorable Member.
Thank you very much, Speaker. We must all know that this is unprecedented. And this is not a practice that we want to set for this parliament. It is going to be your legacy, Speaker, that during your tenure, Parliament could not debate and adopt budget. We are saying to you, you are denying this body an opportunity to be receiving a budget, debate it, accept it, or reject it. You are now subjecting the budget of South Africa to party politics when the budget is supposed to be above party politics. Let the budget be presented here and let Parliament decide that this is the decision that we are taking as Parliament, or whether to accept or not. You cannot come here and say confidently that the parties in the executive are not agreeing. What is that? We don't have parties in the executive. We've got the executive. The executive must come here and present the budget, and this Parliament must decide whether we adopt that budget or not. You are denying the people of South Africa to see what is happening in this government. There is no government. It has collapsed. It has no capacity to present a budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have noted your view. Honorable Malima.
Thank you, Speaker. Now, for us, this day is actually quite a shocker. We are really shocked. This is in the past 30 years, to have a day like this is a serious indication of the crisis that this country is facing. This country has got no leadership. This is what we are facing. We are saying, if we say we have democracy, let democracy come and exercise itself here. This is the theater of politics. Let the Minister of Finance come and say whatever he wanted to say. We don't want to hear rumors. We hear very disturbing rumors that the VAT would have been increased by 2%. In other words, we hear rumors that this ANC-led government wanted to impoverish our people.
Okay,
we have no sympathy with that. The minister must come here and say what he wanted to say, and then we'll deal with it here.
Thank you. Honorable Mulder. Yes, I've noted you, Honorable Member. Order, honorable members. Let's allow other parties to express their views. Honorable Mulder.
Honorable Speaker, this is not a time for cheap politicking. This is serious. It's the first time since the new democracy in 1984 that this has happened. But we also understand that the Government of National Unity is serious about South Africa and about the future. And because of that, we must understand that things could happen in terms of where more time is needed by the Minister of Finance to have these discussions and for the executive to discuss these things.
Order. Honorable members, your leaders of party spoke and they were given time to express their views. Whether others agreed or disagreed, they listened. And I would ask us to do the same.
Thank you,
Honorable Mulder.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If we are serious and if we are responsible, we will understand the circumstances And we know that some political parties will try to make cheap and score cheap political points. I think we need to be responsible. We need to think in terms of the economy and the message that it may send. And we, from our side, will support the decision and give ample time for the executive and the Government of National Unity to come to the right conclusion. And it's not true that Parliament will not have an opportunity to discuss this. When the time is right, we will all, as representatives of the people, discuss the budget in full. We support the decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Nkwankwa.
Speaker, thank you very much. Where was this discussion held? Why was the UDM not part of that discussion? As a result, we cannot support a decision that we know absolutely nothing about. Secondly, we should not treat a proposal from the executive in the nature of a budget as fait accompli. It is only final after Parliament has approved it. It is therefore logical, if the minister was going to table a proposal, that the proposal should have been tabled here for Parliament to consider, and if Parliament does not agree with that process, we can arrive at a different outcome altogether. Thank you.
Thank you. On the issue of your consultation, Honorable Member, I'm sure you will be clarified because all the whips were asked to have and have consultations here. Honorable Maimane.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members. Today does mark a historic day. What I do believe is absolutely important is that what we do in this House is guided by legislation. And therefore the Money Bills and Related Matters Act does compel us as to a particular timeline as to when the budget is going to be tabled, what committees are meant to process it, and how that goes. I want to appeal to you as the Speaker. Firstly, we have raised continuously in this House through the Appropriations Committee about how truncated the time is for the processing of the budget. So any natural delay that emerges as a function of today does in fact mean that Parliament is placed under pressure in not being also being able to consult with the people, for this is where the people are represented. So may I ask that it must not be an arbitrary decision as to when this must be tabled. We must be given a firm date so that we can work the timetable consistent with law. Otherwise, the disagreement that took place today will end up in the court of law, and we as Parliament will be held accountable for that. So let me propose that we get a firm date. We also get the tabling, as the President has promised, of the medium-term plan that he announced, so that we have a framework within which to interpret the budget from. So, Speaker, let us stick to our own laws. Otherwise, we will be inconsistent with that, and the people of South Africa will hold us accountable for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Ganga. Ghana.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I was part of the consultation that you called, and in that consultation, there was that understanding that given the disagreements at the cabinet level, and that they are not ready to table the budget now, that the postponement be given. So I'm just standing to say that I was part of that meeting, and we have agreed that the budget be postponed. Thank you very much.
Order. Honorable members, can we please respect one another? Your leaders of parties did express themselves and they were listened to. And I think it is important for all of us to be respectful of each other, even if we disagree. Honorable Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. On behalf of the ACDP, we did indicate our support when we had the discussion, but we did request that a specific timeline is given, because there can't be an agreement to extend this indefinitely, and we trust that you, Speaker, will engage with the Leader of Government Business so that we know to what date this is postponed. We need calm heads, we need level-headedness at this time, given the fact that the Executive has decided not to table a budget today, and it could have severe impact on the markets and on the currency, and therefore we need to send a message that we, and those parties that are in agreement with the postponement, that this is in order for the Government of National Unity to obtain consensus on some contentious issues, which could also be linked to the VAT increase. So from our perspective, we would plead for members, for the broader public to understand this is a first budget by this Government of National Unity. Let us enable it to reach consensus, and let us stabilize the markets and sentiments in the nation. That is the least that is required of us as responsible leaders in Parliament. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Beasley.
Speaker, it's quite clear that Parliament is becoming a laughing stock. The GNU is becoming a laughing stock. The GNU is anti-poor, the GNU is anti-growth.
Order, can we please listen to the Speaker on the podium?
And it's an absolute disgrace. The growth is, our country is battling with economic growth. When the market sees what's happening with us, it's an absolute joke. And one of the reasons why they can't make a decision is because it's such a bloated cabinet. And the poorest of the poor are paying for a bloated cabinet. There are deputy ministers here that don't even know what they do. We don't know what they do. And we are paying for it, and it is unacceptable, and they should all hang their heads in shame. It is a disgrace.
Honorable Hadebe.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Order. Honorable Hadebe.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to confirm that I was part of the consultation that was urgently called, and as the IFP...
Order, honorable members, can we allow Honorable Hadebe? Order. I'm calling everybody on order. Order, Honorable Pambo. I have said to everyone, including the member you are pointing at, that let's listen. Can we? Honorable Hadebe, can you continue?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I just wanted to confirm that we did form part of the consultation as the IFP, and we agreed and supported the proposal that was put forward before the chief whips of political parties. We view this as a sign of leadership, that when you do need more time for fine-tuning on some of the aspects, you request, you approach Parliament for postponement. In essence, the IFP support the proposal, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Michalakis.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, contrary to what some of the opposition parties have said, what is happening here today is actually showing two factors that should create immense confidence in what is happening in this country. The first is that Parliament is not a laughing stock, but that Parliament is no longer a rubber stamp to bad policies that will cripple our economy. And the second message that should go out to the markets and to the people of South Africa, Madam Speaker, is that the GNU does not consist only of one political party. Madam Speaker, therefore, the DA supports this postponement, and we hope that the executive will use this opportunity and this time to consider all the proposals on the table, especially the DA ones, so that when we hear a budget that gets put before this House, that it will be a budget of growth that will put our economy on the path of recovery and that will create jobs for the people of South Africa that they so desperately need. Madam Speaker, if that is the result, then the DA is absolutely willing to wait for a short while to hear a pro-growth budget. And therefore, we will support this postponement, but with a clear message to the executive, and particularly to our partners in the GNU, that you are not alone in the GNU, that we have an equal say, and that we will continue to fight for every single person in this country, most particularly the poor. We support this postponement.
Thank you. Order. Order, honorable members. Al-Jama, Advocate Salim.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and to all members. As Al-Jama, we are going to support the postponement, and I'm going to tell you why. Firstly, the first concern that we brought to fore is the fact that we knew that there were problems even before today. Why wasn't a postponement done sooner than us having to sit in this House? That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you go and look at the markets, dear members, it is already impacted by this budget speech, which is not happening. And also because of our politicking. Who is going to be impacted? The nation. So Al-Jama will support the postponement. Why? Because if it is the interest of our nation that they won't be impacted, that is why we will support the budget, the postponement. However, Madam Speaker, all of the chief whips unanimously noted we need a date for this postponement because it has a rippling effect on the rest of the budgets. So we cannot come here today and just say there's going to be postponement in March. The request was, give us a definite date of postponement. I thank you.
Thank you. The ANC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Indeed, we convened the Chief Whips Forum to consult one another as per the request of the Speaker. The Chief Whips who were in the House at that particular time, they were consulted because they were in the House. I ran all over here looking for the Chief Whips. No one was left deliberately. I passed there. On the issue of postponement, we agree with the postponement, Honorable Speaker, to allow the executive to finalize those contentious issues that they are dealing with in the interest of all South Africans. We therefore requested that we need a date for the budget speech to be tabled. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. We are not here to grandstand as the ANC. Thank you very much.
Order, honorable members. I have allowed all parties that have raised their hands. Honorable Zumula. Honorable Nkwankwa, you have already been given an opportunity. The issues of the Chief Whips, I will ask that the Chief Whips can talk to each other outside. But for now, let me allow Honorable Zumula.
Thank you, Speaker. We need to ask you, Speaker, who decides? Because if you are going to allow the Chief Whips to decide for the entire Parliament, it is problematic. Secondly, you cannot allow a case of the incompetence of the executive, even at the incompetence of Parliament. The executive did not know yesterday that there's going to be a budget today and there's no agreement in the so-called GNU. Therefore, the executive, the Minister of Finance, must come here, present what he has, and let us, as the people, as the representatives of the people, decide for the people. This notion, Speaker, of saying want to assure the markets and all of these things, it is problematic. This House does not belong to the markets. It belongs to the people. We are the representatives of the people. Massive Minister of Finance presenting what he has. And then the parties here can be seen whether they are in support or they are not in support. Do not deny the parties an opportunity of standing and clearly showing where they stand. And also an indefinite postponement is not going to be acceptable. Because if apha kuthiwa, let us wait for an indefinite postponement, what does that mean? And what happens if after that indefinite postponement, they come back again and then let's postpone again? We're going to have more and more postponements. Makaze apha, sizele loo nto apha.
UAT.
Yale Speaker. Rona re le UAT re motho ha tla tlo presenta mona. E qaqile go ntwena ya tshwatleya jwale. Ntwela ya phitlheganya jwale. Se ba tsholo ba re bana le lona ba nna le safe. Ha tle mona tlo bua setšhaba se mo emetse. Re ke be ra kgona ho sebedisa di resources tsa government for mahala ga tlela mona re na le baeti mona. Ha tle motho na go utlo re kgolo mo phiatlakanya le yena ha etsa tsa hae. Danke.
Thank you. PA.
Speaker.
Order, honorable members.
They are my friends.
Order.
Don't worry.
Honorable member, you can proceed.
Speaker, what I have seen the
Honorable
past
members. Honorable members. Honorable members of the EFF at the back. Order. Honorable Pambo, can you please speak to the members at the back of the EFF? Honorable Mackenzie, can you proceed?
All right. Speaker, what I have seen the past 2 weeks, I want to tell the people of South Africa that I have seen humbleness, humility, and people that listen to each other. I want to congratulate the Minister of Finance. You came to present a budget which the DA, the PA, and the different parties didn't fully agree with. But the ANC were humble enough and say, let us hear you. What is it you don't like here? For 2 weeks we've been busy. We are seized with the last issue. A wise man changes his mind. We are united. This is not a one-party state. We are together, united, all of us that you see here. These ones, they will not know. They are a government in waiting. We are the government. The government is taking charge. Amen.
Order, honorable members. Order. Honorable members, good.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First of all, the good parties support the postponement. But the truth is, all parties in the GNU agreed to the postponement, not certain parties. Let us not play politics. Because the people out there are waiting on us to lead this government of national unity. All the parties agreed, not only the DA or the PA, it is the IFP, good, PAC. We all agreed. Please don't play politics with our people. Thank you.
Thank you, the PAC.
I confirm that we support the postponement, Speaker.
Thank you, honorable members. I have listened to all the parties. Honorable Nchingila, is there a new issue? Honorable member, if it's again repeating on the issue of the postponement I've heard, I will make the ruling now.
I just want to establish, Madam Speaker, that will Parliament reimburse the guests that we've invited to attend the budget?
Well, thank you
Because
very
they're
much,
costing
honorable
care.
members. Honorable members, Honorable Dlamini, is there a new issue other than what you have already expressed yourself on?
Thank you very much, Speaker. We want to call for a division so that we are clear. The members of parliament here, they must by themselves express their decision on this question of postponement of tabling of the budget. So we want to call for division, want to vote here, because some of the ANC, they agree with us that this thing of 2% is nonsense. And they're saying, let's vote. So please, Speaker, we're calling for division, because the 2%, it's nonsense.
Honorable Zungula, is there another new issue?
It's another issue, Speaker.
Okay, what is the issue?
It is concerning how you are running the House. When there is jeers and noise from this side, you don't call them to order. But from this side, you are very quick to call us to order. So the order is on you, Speaker. Be fair on each and every member of parliament. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I accept that I must listen to all members of the House. And having listened to all of you, and the questions that have been asked about who decides, we were consulted by the executive through the leader of government business. And having applied my mind as the speaker, it was clear that there was no budget that would be tabled. It was for that reason that I consulted all the parties, and I understand Honorable Nkwankwa unfortunately did not make that meeting. Though two of the parties did express their concerns, but unanimously all parties agreed that we postponed. Honorable Malima, I said two parties, which is the EFF is one, MK is another. Yeah. No, ATM was not in that meeting. So can you please not raise those issues which were not part of the meeting? Honorable members, clearly I've listened to the views of all parties, and I think it is in the interest of all of us and the people of South Africa that we postpone and allow time to the Treasury to finalize whatever they need to finalize. You wanted certainty. Executive has given us the date of 12 March to come and present. As this parliament, we are not going to compromise our timelines as to how we need to deal with that budget. So no time will be shortened for us to deal with these issues in terms of our timelines. So I want to thank honorable members and adjourn the House. Thank you.
Rather like to see a smaller cabinet, but the reality is you've got a 10-party GNU, and it has to be accommodated. So, like anything, there's trade. A commitment that we're not going to waste money on new cars, we'll use what we've got and try and make do with that. So whilst the cabinet may be larger, we have to look at innovative ways to be able to shrink that and make it smaller.
John, one of your members...
Should I go to you? So just to give you a view from outside of the GNU. So the ACP was part of the meeting, and we really believe that this is in the best interests. Those opposition parties that are not in the GNU but are centrist supported the request for a postponement today. We really want consensus to be reached in the GNU This is the first budget by the GNU, and we realize there are contentious issues, such as the 2% VAT, and so we fully supported that. But what the ACDP said is we must have specific timelines, and we insisted that we need to know until when this postponement takes place. We have a number of serious objections from the centrist groupings of the non-GNU parties, and therefore we would like to express those views. But at this stage we support and we believe, and we called on mature leadership so that we can just stabilize the market, stabilize the currency, and not play petty politics, because it impacts all of us, and we trust in a good. This is good news. It's regrettable that it took place today, but it is good news for the future of our nation. Thank you.
Just bear with us, Nompo. I'm trying to get the mic in with the EFF, who are currently also speaking to the media.
Well, the postponement of budget today has rendered Parliament useless. It has got no authority, because budget, whether you agree on it or not, you must bring it here so that it can be debated and ultimately adopted. So there is no government, because if you don't adopt budget, it's clear the government has collapsed. Today we have witnessed the government of national unity, a coalition, grand coalition of DA and ANC, collapsing in front of South Africa, something that we said to all of you that it will not last. We will never agree to increase of 2% on VAT from 15% to 17%. And that's why they are scared to come here, because it will be rejected. It is on the budget proposal that was withdrawn that he wants to increase the VAT from 15 to 17%. And that is where the fundamental disagreements are. And we said, bring it here. Let the people of South Africa hear what is the actual disagreement. Then you know that indeed the EFF is reasonable by demanding that this budget must be rejected. Parliament's role is to accept or reject.
Yeah, I'm fine. Come. All right, thank you so much. We have a National Assembly Speaker, Togo Titiza, who's going to give us an indication of
2025 at 2 p.m. here in the Dome.
In practical terms, the postponement, will it not have an effect in terms of allocations for the government departments?
No, it won't have a problem in terms of the allocation for government. It's still before the end of March, but also, as you know, we pass our budget in June. So there will still be time for the Appropriations Committee and Finance Committee to look at the bill as it is a money bill, and then the departments will then have their budget debates in terms of how they're going to spend the money that they're allocated, and at the end we will then adopt the budget.
Obviously, the postponement would mean that there might have been some wasteful expenditure here. Your take on that?
Well, the reality is we have to acknowledge that the executive informed Parliament at about 10 to 2 that they can't find one another, and therefore they're asking for a postponement. So it was an unforeseen and unavoidable situation in my view.
When it comes to the cost implications, what does that mean?
It is unprecedented, but you know that 2024 gave us a different configuration of government, which is indeed unprecedented. 10 parties in the executive will indeed share that there will be
Thanks very much. Well, the word unprecedented has